Before this video starts, I want to thank you guys for the support on the last video essay. It really surprised me that the last one got almost 200 views in one day, which is a lot for a small channel like mine. I'd also like to thank the kind people in the comments with all their kind words. It really inspired me to make another video essay like the one today, and inspired me to make more in the future. Thank you guys for the support, and now let's get on with the video. Pokemon, the highest grossing media franchise in the world. A company that has so much money from merch, shows, cards, and probably the most popular thing, the games. In 1996, three men by the name of Ken Sugimori, Junichi Masuda, and Satoshi Tajiri founded Game Freak, one of the three companies that are a part of the Pokemon Company, which is composed of Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures. These three companies are responsible for the creation and publication of Pokemon Red and Blue, or Green if you were in Japan. These games are the first games in a massive gaming franchise of Pokemon, and have raised a generation. However, throughout the years, the games have decreased in quality, feeling less and less cared for, and felt more and more like cash grabs. When Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was announced, I was actually pretty excited. It showed many cool things such as being an open-world Pokemon game and being able to capture Pokemon alongside your friends. However, as more and more was announced about the game, I found myself losing more and more hope and excitement for the game. As I'm writing this script, it was actually announced that they have removed the shiny noise from when a shiny Pokemon appear in the overworld, which was implemented in Pokemon Legends Arceus, in my opinion one of the greatest modern Pokemon games to ever hit shelves. This feature really helps shiny hunters find their shinies, especially since it's hard to see them from on top of a bird or when it's foggy in the overworld. Not to mention, since now some of the same Pokemon are smaller than others, it may be harder to see them while moving around quickly. Pokemon has this habit of adding features that people actually enjoy having, and then removing them in the next game. It's actually kind of frustrating since something like the shiny noise was such a positive in the shiny hunting community, yet now that it's gone it may be harder to find and locate our shinies. The Pokemon Company keeps taking 2 steps back down the staircase of greed and doesn't look like they are going to be taking any steps forward anytime soon. It's evident the Pokemon Company does not care about how their games look or feel, because at the end of the day, they know people will still buy their games. So they don't feel like they have to put in any effort into their games at all because people will buy them anyway. The Pokemon Company aren't the only company guilty of this either. The developers of Call of Duty, Infinity Ward, also feel obligated to release one game a year knowing people will buy them no matter how bad they actually are. With each progressing year a new Pokemon game is released that is worse and worse than the last. And with each release I can see the games lacking things that could or will make them better. However, no matter how much the fanbase pleads for those things, they are never added. Something like voice acting, for example, something that the Pokemon Company themselves stated they think would ruin the experience of Pokemon. However, I feel like it could add to it. Something I see lacking in Pokemon games is character, and I think something like voice acting could fix that. I find myself in some recent Pokemon games not caring about the other characters' goals or aspirations. As a matter of fact, 90% of the time I just match to their text because I don't care. But I should care. When a character like my rival is shown on screen, I should care about what they are saying, what they want to accomplish. But I don't, and that's because they aren't realistic. Imagine a game like Persona 5 Royal, a game that relies heavily on characters' bonds with one another. Persona 5 Royal is probably one of the only games I actually looked at my TV and paid attention to what the characters were saying, because they felt like real people. But if they took their voices away, then I probably wouldn't feel that way. Voices on a character adds so much to their personality and character. I find myself actually listening to what characters have to say when they are speaking. So if Pokemon added that to a game in the future, could add so much to it, especially since each year the games are becoming more and more advanced. You probably don't want to hear a teenager complain about a children's game anymore, but there's another complaint I have. This may be nostalgia talking, but I feel like the new games don't have the same replayability. Replayability is such an important factor in the success of your game. This may be a bad comparison, but look at Elden Ring or any Souls game for that matter. The reason people call those games some of the greatest games ever made is because of their replayability. I haven't replayed a Pokemon game since Generation 3, and I know a lot of people and streamers like to replay Generations 4 and 5 as well, but I rarely see any of their newer games being replayed, and there's most likely a reason for that. Another problem I have with the newer Pokemon games especially is the new game mechanics. Listen, I know how much people like Gigantamaxing. However, for a casual player point of view, I don't think it's that cool of a mechanic. Don't get me wrong, I love some of the Gigantamax Pokemon designs, but as a mechanic, it's very boring. I haven't felt interested or even excited for a new mechanic since Gen 6 with Mega Evolution, and Terastallizing is no different. I think the concept is really cool, but I think the design choice is a little bad. Compared to something like Mega Evolution or even Gigantamaxing, it's very bland, and I wish they were more creative with the designs they gave the Pokemon while using this new mechanic. One last problem I have is, and again, this may just be nostalgia talking, but wait, nostalgia? Maybe that's it. Maybe the reason people don't have as much fun with the newer games is nostalgia. The older games were perfect in many people's eyes, myself included. Yes, the newer games still look like they are 64 bits. Yes, the stories are bland and boring. Yes, the characters are unrelatable, and yes, maybe Game Freak makes some poor executive decisions. However, it's unfair to compare the older classics that we were raised on to these newer games that may not be as magical in our eyes, but may be magical in the eyes of the next generation. Let's face it here, there will never be another Pokemon Emerald, there will never be another Pokemon Platinum, there will never be another Pokemon Black and White, or Black and White 2. But we have to accept that. We have to stop thinking about how good the old games were compared to the new ones. We have to accept that maybe the newer games aren't as bad as we make them out to be. At the end of the day, no matter how many complaints I have about the Pokemon Company, I'm still going to pick up a copy of Pokemon Violet. I will admit, even though the newer games may reek of bad executive decisions, I'm still going to have fun with the new games, and probably the ones after this one too. I don't want people to think I hate Pokemon after this, because I don't. Hate is a very strong word, and I don't want that floating around this conversation. Pokemon is and always will be a part of my life no matter how old I get, and even though it may not be as good as it used to be, it's still a very fun gaming franchise that I love dearly. I really enjoy making video essays, so if you guys want to see more, let me know in the comments. I would also appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It would really help me out in my dream to becoming a professional YouTuber one day.
Take your time.
I also apologize for the video essay being significantly shorter than my last one. At a lot of points during the script, I found myself not having a lot to talk about because it's kind of hard to shit talk a company you like so much. Yes, I still think that they do make some bad executive decisions. I mean, come on, look at the trees, for example. However, at the end of the day, I do still love this company dearly, and I do love their games. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.